So now I want us to work on the second part right here. So we will have some selectors for the location, that is country, state, city, and then a location description that will be similar to this one. So for location, we need this particular library right here. For us to get all the countries, all the states, all the cities. Maybe there is a better library that you can use that provides that particular kind of data, but this is the one that I'll be using in this particular course. Okay, so you can use any other if you want to. So right here I'll go ahead and click on copy here, and then I'll come back to our code and I'll pop the terminal and I'll install that particular package. When we select a country, let's say Kenya, we will also like filter down all the states that are in Kenya and we ignore all the other states in other countries. And if we select a certain state, then we'll filter down only the towns or cities that are in that particular state. So what I'll do at the root here, I'll create a new folder and I'll call this one hooks. So we'll create a custom hook that will help us do this, and we'll call it use location.ts. Now right here we'll create it as a function, use location, and this will be an arrow function just like this. At the bottom here I'll export this particular function, so export default use location, and then in here we will create all the functions that we will be needing. So we will store the country as a code, the state as a code, the city as a name. For state and country, I found out that there were some duplicate names, so the code prevents us from having the duplication. Okay, so right here we will start by creating one of the function, which will be get state by code. Okay, so this function will receive the country code, which will be a string, and then we will use that code to filter out that particular country. So this will give us one country. Sorry, this is not get state by code, but get country by code. We will simply return here country. So this country is an object that will be coming from our package, so let's import it. Here we will say import with the structure country. This will come from country, state, city. Okay, then we'll have other objects as well. This is for country, we'll have one for state and another one for city. And then right here we will be having import get all states, and we will get that from country, state, city, lib, state, just like that. So now we get our country here, and these have a method which is get all countries, and then we invoke it. This will get all the countries, so we will find one country where we pass an arrow function. So here we get a country at a time, and we'll find one country where country dot ISO code is the same as the code that we pass right here. Okay, so I'll use 3 =, is the same as the country code, just like that. And actually get all states, we can also say something like state dot get all states. So we can remove this import and we'll use the state object there. Okay, very nice. So this will give us one country. So we get country by code when we do it like this. Now let's create another function. So we will say const get state by code, and here we'll be receiving 2 params. One is the country code, and the second one is the state code. So this will be a string, and we come just right here. So we'll say const state will be equal to, we call the state object, so state dot get all states. We make sure to invoke that for it to work. Dot find, we will pass an arrow function again here. We get a state at a time, and we will get that state where state dot country code is equal to this country code that we pass right here, and we'll add end the state dot iso code is the same as the state code. We perform a check. Actually, we can say if state does not exist, we will return null, and if state exists, we will go ahead and return the state, just like that. Here we are supposed to have an arrow, so I save. So now we have those two functions. One will help us to get a country by code, the other we will get a state by code. Let's filter out only states that are available in a certain country. So let's create another one. We'll say const get a country states. Okay, we'll set that to be equal to, here we will pass the country code, and then in here we will return. We use state dot get all states, we invoke it, then right here we'll say dot filter, just like that, and we invoke that one. We pass an arrow function right here which will give us a state at a time, and right here we will return state dot country code is equal to country code. So this will return an array. The filter here returns an array, and the array will contain the states whose state.country code is equal to the country code that we will be passing right here. We need to have another one here that will give us all the cities that are in a certain state. So get state cities. We will also make use of the country code, which will be a string. Then we'll also have the state code, which will also be a string, and we pass an arrow function here, and we do it like this. We will do a similar thing like this. We will filter out the cities. So here we will get all the cities that are available in the world. So city dot get all cities, we invoke, that will give us all the cities. Then we will filter them down. So dot filter, we invoke that, we pass an arrow function, just like that. Here we will get a city at a time, so I'll say city, and we will return the cities that will fulfill this condition, where city dot country code is the same as the country code that we pass right here. Not only that, we'll say end where city dot state code is the same as the state code that we pass right here. And those are all the functions that we'll be needing in this application. Mostly we will use these and these when displaying the data, because we store the country and the state as codes. Okay, so when we want to display a certain country, we'll just call these functions with that code, and then we'll show it. And then we'll use these and these when we are working with our form, and also the search, where we filter the hotels by location. So we'll use these on the drop downs, and for country we don't need to filter anything, therefore we will just call like this, country dot get all countries. We get all countries. When we select a certain country, we filter down only the states that are available in that country. When we click a certain state, then we will filter down the cities or towns that are in that particular state. Okay, before we get out of our hook, use location hook, right here we can return something. So we will return, just like that, we return an object. We will pass get all countries full colon. This one will be coming from country dot get all countries, and we invoke that. Then for the others it will be straightforward. We get a country by code, we include a comma. We get state by code, we include a comma. We get country states like that, comma, and then we get state cities, just like that, and I save. So now we'll make use of this hook in our add hotel form. So let's come back right here now and we continue building up on our form. Very nice. You can come here. I'll say const, I will destructure get all countries, and these will be coming from our use location hook, and I invoke it. We'll also get country states, then get state cities. Another thing is that we can define some states here. So we'll say const states and set states. These will be equal to use state. This will be an array, and we can set the type for this particular array. It will be of I state, that is coming now from country, state, cities, and we include an array. So it's an array of states basically. We will do a similar thing for the cities. So right here we'll say const cities set cities to be equal to use state. We set the type to be I city, which will be an array. Then we include the default value as an empty array. Okay, very nice. And what we will do, we'll add some use effects which will automatically be changing our states and cities whenever something changes. Okay, so right here I'll just say use effect. This will come from React, and we expect to have some dependency array. So for this one, we will use it to update the states. So whenever we select a country, we need to filter down the states, and we get those states back, and we update that right here. And then we'll use these at our form to create that selector for the states. So what we will do right here, we will say const selected country will be equal to, we will use form dot watch. So we watch our React hook form as it changes, and specifically we will watch for the country field. So right here we will pass country, so that will give us the selected country. Now for this dependency array, we need to pass form dot watch right here, so that when country changes, this use effect will be called again. Okay, so we pass it like that. Then right here I'll say const, we will now get our country states to be equal to, and we call our function get country states, just like that. And now right here we will pass the selected country. Remember, this selected country will be in form of the country code, so we will receive that at our use location right here as country code, and then we will get all the states and filter down only those states that are available in that particular country, and then that will return us the country states. So once we get those states, we will come right here and we will perform a check. Does country states actually exist? So if they exist, we'll go ahead and we will set our states to be country states, just like that. And that is all we need to do in that particular use effect. We will have a similar use effect like this one. So I'll just copy this one and I'll paste it right here. Now this one will be for updating our cities. So the first thing is to get the selected country, and then the other thing is to get the selected state. So right here we will get the selected state now, and we will watch for the form when state changes. Okay, and right here we will add this particular function at our dependency array. So when state changes, this particular use effect will run again. I can remove this line, we don't need that one, but we will say state. Okay, we'll create a variable here which is state cities to be equal to, now we use our function, okay, get state cities. We invoke it we pass the selected country and the selected state. So these two will be the codes. Okay, once we get the code right here, we'll receive them like this. Then we will filter down the cities that are in a certain state using the country code and the state code. Then we'll get all our cities. Okay, so right here we get the state cities. We can perform a check, do they actually exist? So if they exist, we'll go ahead and we will set the state cities right here. So this is actually complaining argument of type string or undefined is not assignable to parameter of type string. We can optionally include it like this. So we can say right here question mark, and now that will be optional. I save. That should get rid of this error here. Then we check for state cities. This is shouting set not states but cities, just like that, and that now will be our state cities. So now everything looks good. Very nice, very nice. And now we can proceed to create the form fields for this. So now we'll go to where we had part 2 right here. So I can say grid, then grid hyphen course hyphen 1, that is for small screens. Then MD for larger screens will be grid hyphen course hyphen 2. So we'll have 2 columns and we'll give it a gap of 6. Now in here is where we'll have our form field for country and for state. So this one will be a bit different from the rest because it's a selector. So what we can do, we can go right here. Let's look for select. So we want a drop down like this one right here. So let's first install this. So I'll copy this command and in our application, Control J, and I'll paste that to add the select in our project. Another thing, we will need to import all these form elements. So I'll copy them. We will import select, select content, select item, select trigger, select value from UI select. So I'll come to the very top and right here I'll just paste the import there. We will import all those and I save. We have like this simple selector like this, but we will be customizing it. Okay, so we can just copy it as well. Then let's come back and work on them. So at the very bottom again, I'll create a form field and I self close it like that. We all know that we will expect to have control. So control here will be form dot control. We'll need a name. The name here will be country. We will need render will be equal to, we include the curly brackets. Then here we'll pass an arrow function just like that. Right here we will receive the field, and in here we can have a form item. In the form item we can add a form label, and right here we'll say select country and we include a star. Second, we will have a form description, and right here we will say in which country is your property located. Now right here is where we will have a selector. I'll paste the selector that we copied earlier. I'll go ahead and save to auto format, but we need to do a lot of customization here. First of all, at this select, we'll have disabled if is loading is true. So this is loading will be the state for submitting the form. So right here we can easily add it, const is loading and set is loading. Use state, it will be false by default. I save. back down here, and then we have on value change field dot on change. We'll set the value to be field dot value. We will set the default value to be field dot value as well. Very nice. We come down here to the trigger. So for this, I'll actually remove this one, and we'll set a background color of BG background. Then right here we have select value. Placeholder will not be theme, but it will be select a country. We can add a default value field dot value. This is the trigger. This is what we'll be seeing. Then this is what we will be seeing on the drop down. For this one, this should be dynamic. We will get all the countries. So how do we get the countries? We already have this get countries, and we can come right here and we can say const countries will be equal to get all countries, and we invoke that. We have an issue. It's complaining because we had already called right here this particular method which will return all the countries. So you can either remove it here so that it makes more sense, like it's a method, and then we will do like this to call that method. Then at the very bottom right here, we will now map through all those countries, and then we'll show this select item for each of them. We just need to say countries dot map. Okay, we invoke it, we pass a single country at a time. Right here we'll pass an arrow function, and in here we can say return. We now select one of these, we cut, we include it here, and we remove the rest. So now these will be displayed one at a time. So for this one, we need to pass our several props. So first thing is that we need to have a unique key, and we'll say the key here is country dot ISO code. That should be unique. Then the value here will be, we dynamically display the value as country dot ISO code again. Right here at the content, we will show the country dot name. So we'll say country dot name. I go ahead and save. So by now we should be having a list of countries in a selector. So let's go to our browser and see if that is the case. And look, we have a selector. If I click on it, we get a list of all the countries. Look, this is very nice, right? We will do a similar thing for the state. So we can copy this form field for our country. I hold shift and copy that section. Then at the bottom here, I will paste. So let's go through each line, changing stuff. First thing, control will be form control. Then name here will be state. We render, we get field, form item. Now this will be select state. Selecting the state will be optional, so I remove that asterisk. Form description, in which state is your property located. Then we come to select. I think all these will be the same. So disabled will be is loading. On value change will be field.onChange, field.value, and field.value. So for disabled, we will add something else. So if we don't have any state, we will disable this particular input. So we'll say states.length. If that one is less than 1, I think another way that you can display this is by using a double exclamation mark there. I think that will work too. We will see. Now we come at our select trigger here. These will be the same, but now right here we'll say select state. We scroll down. We now come to where we map through our countries. Instead of now mapping through the countries, we will map through the states. Here we will get a state at a time. So I can select all of those and say state. At our select item, the key will be state.isocode, value will be state.isocode, what we see will be state.name. But when you click on that, what will be saved is the isocode or the code for that state. I save. Now let's go back to the browser right here and we see. So right here you'll see this did not work, our disable. Let's just say if state.length is less than 1, we hide it. I hope that works now. Yeah, now it's disabled. Very nice. So it will only be enabled if we have some states. And what we will do, we select a country. I'm from Kenya, so I'll select Kenya. And once I select Kenya, you'll see select a state have been activated. And once we hover over it, now these are the states in Kenya. We call them counties just right here. I know most of you have watched Money Heist, and we have that girl called Nairobi. So that was the name of Nairobi city. So we can select Nairobi right there. Okay, very nice. This is going on so well. The next thing is to list the select country, and we'll list it down here. It will occupy the whole of the spacing. So let's just do that real quick. So for that, if I scroll back to the top, you'll see we had this div. So I'll go outside that div now, this one right here, and I'll paste what I had copied earlier, the form field for the country. Okay, so you can copy and paste it, and then we just customize it. So from the very top, now this is not country but city. And remember, this name must be the same as the one that you mentioned at the Zod schema. If you use a different name, even I think a bit, it will throw this particular error. So for example, if I say city with the caps there, yeah, it complains. So it should be small city right here. Make sure they are the same. So this now will be select city. I remove asterisk because the city is not a must. So right here, in which city is your property located? So we can say town or city. So for is roading, we will do a similar thing that we did with the state. So right here, cities.length is less than 1. Then here we'll have that one and that one and that one. Pretty nice. We come down here. I think this will be the same. Select city, just like that. Now we come right here and we map through our cities. We get a city at a time. Right here will be city.name. The value will also be city.name. So in this case, we'll be storing the name of the city in the database, and we show the city.name right here. Very nice. So I go ahead and save, and now we will be having our city selector. I can remove this unnecessary spacing. Okay, very nice. So I save that file and I come back to the browser to confirm. Now look, we have select city, and we can actually select city. The only city available is Nairobi. So I select Nairobi. Now here, if we change location, for example, let's say we are in the United States. So if you type U, it will actually take you to the list of U. So United States, look, all these have been, okay, they have not been disabled actually. But all in all, we have completed this section for selecting country, state, city, which is really nice. So right here I can say Kiambu, and if I come here, yeah, pretty nice. So that is it for that particular section. We also need to add, I think, a location description, which will be similar to this one here. So let's jump back to our code. Look for hotel description at the top of the form. It was the second one here. So we will copy this one. Then we move to the bottom of the form. I know this form have a lot of fields, but I hope you are able to follow along. Now, after this form field for the city, we'll actually paste this one here, and we will use this one for location description. So here I'll say location description, location description, provide a detailed location description of your hotel. Then here we'll have a text area. We can say located at the very end of the beach road, if there is anything like that. That will be the placeholder, and that is all that we need to do for that one. Therefore, I go ahead and save. We come back and we should be having that form field right here, location description. Very nice, very nice. So now the next thing that we need to do is to add a button here which will actually submit our form to the database. This is all we need to do now. I know it have been quite a journey, so if so far you have been up to this point, congratulations. We are about now to save our hotel to the DB. So let's cover that next.